The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon from high above an undisclosed location in Pittsburgh. My name is Jay Myers with CoreLogic, and today we welcome you to the Data Co-op webinar. A webinar, if you've never been on one, is just simply a video content and a person talking like you're watching and seeing my screen at this point in time. There's nothing you need to do except turn your speakers up if you can't hear, and just enjoy the next 45 minutes or so, and we will walk you through a new tool that you have in your tool belt as of this week, and we call that Data Co-op, and that's what you're going to see today. So I'm going to go and switch over now to my screen and let you see exactly what we are talking about. So bear with me a second while I do that, and we'll have you back on here in just a second. There we go. So there's a little bit of latency between my screen and your screen, so if I happen to pause a couple of times, it's just because I'm waiting for your view to catch up, and I can see when that happens. So it looks like we're all caught up now. So what you're looking at right now on your screen is you're looking at the Matrix dashboard or homepage, and I hope most of you are familiar with this, since this is how you get into your Matrix system every day. So no mystery right there. There's two ways to get into the Data Co-op program, and one is through the front door and one is through the back door. And that's kind of the same thing that you do when you're looking up tax information from, say, Reallist as an example. If you were to click on the link here, you would go in through what I like to call the front door of tax, where you could search for a person or an address or a parcel number without having anything already pulled up in Matrix. Or, of course, you can always be in a listing, and from the Matrix 360 page, you can click on the tax tab and see the tax information. That's what I call going in through the back door, since you're kind of already in the house already, literally. So the two ways that you can get into Data Co-op here is you can go to your external links widget, which is what I have opened up here on the left-hand side of the screen. Now, if yours is not open like mine, it's probably because at one point in time you minimized it or closed it. So think of a desk drawer that's closed and a desk drawer that's open, right? So once you open that external links widget, down at the bottom of the screen, you will only see one option for Data Co-op here. Now, you're probably looking at that and going, well, you have two. And the answer is yes, I have two, but you're only going to see one, trust me. So the Data Co-op option down on the bottom of the screen, when you select that option, that's again going in through the front door. And that would be, again, very similar to going into, say, Reallist from the tab. Data Co-op is a program that works with all browsers and works with all devices you want. So you can look at it on any device, any browser that you care to. And you'll notice that it opened up in a certain zoom for me, because Data Co-op remembers the last thing that you did. So the last thing that I was looking at this morning from my morning session that we did is this screen here. So hence when I log in, it picks up where I left off, and that's a good thing. So that's one way to get into it, and this is where you would be able to go in and search for something by an address or a place name or a listing number. That's how you could, isolate a particular property or do a search with some search criteria that you see over on the left-hand side, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. So that's going in one way. The other way to get into Data Co-op is through a listing search. And I'm going to keep this real simple today. I already have a listing that I'm going to use, and I'm going to get to it by going to my recent searches. And if you haven't found this little gem yet, I hope this is something that you now use. Remember your recent searches, remember your last 50 searches or the past week, whichever is greater. So in this example, I can go and pull up a listing number that I was looking at and pull up that property in Matrix as I normally would. Again, this is no great mystery right here. This is your single line display. And as expected, when I click on the listing number, I open up the the report, as you're again hopefully used to seeing today, and of course the 360 integration, the Matrix 360 integration with the listing tab, the tax tab, the photos, the history, parcel maps, flood maps, and so on. That's something you have access to already today. So no mystery there. Down below the picture where you've got all of these little icons or little ways to get into different programs, whether it be a lockbox or some documents or virtual tours, if you will, you're going to see that you now have three little icons down on the bottom of the screen. They're kind of red and gray in color, and they say co-op. There's three of them. I'm going to talk about the first one, and then I'll come back later and talk about the other two. But the first one is really the one that you need to use to get what you need out of the program here today. And when I hover over the first one, if you look carefully, it says listing data underneath it when I hover it. So when I click there, now I'm going back into Data Co-op again, but I'm going in through that particular listing, and it's going to bring up Data Co-op for that property on Black Bear Drive, and you can clearly see it populating on your screen here. So again, this is going in through the back door. I was in Matrix, pulled up a listing, clicked on the icon for Data Co-op, and now looking at that property through the Data Co-op view. I still have Matrix up, but again, I was looking for this new piece of information. So, what is Data Co-op? Well, Data Co-op is a program by CoreLogic that allows you to see information about a property in these little widget formats here, and we're going to walk through these and talk about what they do. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a lot of information in one place, and again, very similar to what you have today in Matrix 360, where you pull up a listing and you have the listing, the tax, the history of the property from MLS public record and mortgage history data. You have everything in one place. This is just another way of looking at that through this program. Now, why do we call it Data Co-op? It's because Data Co-op is used across the country by different MLSs, and they can share and reciprocate or co-op with West Penn Multi-List. So in other words, if Las Vegas wants to share their Data Co-op search and displays with you, which they do, you will be able to go and use this same feature to pull up listings in Las Vegas as Las Vegas cooperates with you, and they can see your listing. So then what is it used for? It's used for referrals. It's used for maybe working with a prospect who may be moving to another part of the country, and you want to help them find something, let's say in Las Vegas, maybe a second home or something like that. So it's a cooperative type of a program that allows listing services across the country that agree to participate with each other to be able to search and see the information in a format that is identical from one listing service to another. So the way you search, the way you see is going to be the same no matter where you are. Nobody has an advantage over anybody here. Nobody sees more information. It's all a level playing field. So back to this listing on Black Bear Drive. You'll notice the widgets across the top. First one, property photos. Pictures are pictures. They come from the listing service, and if you want to see the pictures for this one, just simply click on the link that says property photos, and you will see the photos as they are then displayed within the Data Co-op. And again, you can see it's a montage of photos for that particular property. Top of the page, you've got the ability to send those via an email. You can click there, and when you click there, you'll use the internal program within Data Co-op. Your email address is already provided there by what you have on file. The subject line is already populated for you with the address of the property. We already have a default message in there, and then you just have to type the destination of the person you're sending this to and click the arrow, and that particular photo report would be sent to whoever you decide. You can also print, copy of the printer right there. Whatever happens next is between you and your printer. And then of course the X will close that out. So very simple to see the photos and do something with them. Now the icon to the right in the center, the listing detail report, notice that you do have these little question marks kind of peppered throughout here, and those question marks will display information about what that widget is explaining or trying to convey to you. It's a standardized set of field labels, as I said earlier. We do not give somebody more information than another listing service. It's standard real estate standard organization data. So it's again very, very again standard across the different listing services that participate in Data Co-op. So when I click on listing details, again, just like the photos, you're going to see additional information about that particular listing. This property is from the West Penn multi-list, as you can see, WPML. If I was looking, say, in Las Vegas, it would say the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors. We do have property features, locations, things like that, financials, public remarks, and you can clearly see those public remarks. And then we have a nice little photo gallery as I continue to move down the screen, followed by the confidential remarks, the directions, the showing instructions, compensation, listing agent contact information, and then a map showing where the property is located. So very compacted, precise type of a view, if you will, with a lot of things in one place. Now again, remember the same icons across the top. You can send this in an email format. This is the same exact thing you saw earlier. Everything is filled out for you. All you have to do is type in the destination email address. And of course, the print option is also available across the top. So again, I click on it. It displays it and I can print it. Take note of the little unchecked box on the top right hand corner that says print confidential information. If that is left unchecked, which it is by default, when you print this out, you will not be printing the confidential information on the report. If for whatever reason you need to print that confidential information, you would check the box, and then the confidential information, which is described as the agent remarks down here, would be printed. So again, rest assured, if it's unchecked, it will not print, but if you consciously check it, it will print that confidential information out. So be aware of that. Close that out. Property location, it's all about location right in real estate. So when I click on that, it opens up the property for you, shows you the addresses and the parcel lines. Why does it show all of that? Well, it's just the way it's set up. I mean, we do have the road, the aerial, and the bird's eye views available to you over here. So standard mapping functionality, as you would see. The Data Co-op uses the Microsoft Bing mapping, unlike the Matrix system, which uses the Google Maps. So there might be a slight difference here in the mapping frequency of when the pictures are taken and things like that. So just be aware of that. Those are two different mapping two different mapping companies, and their data may not be exactly the same. One is Microsoft and obviously one is Google. So you've got your maps. You can zoom in and zoom out and play around with those as you need to. As you continue to scroll your way down the widget, so again, we've got our photos, our listing information, our location, kind of the three big across the top three, right? And then we come down to the foreclosure details. There are none, so nothing to see there. We also see that there are some distressed properties that are within the vicinity of this particular property that you're looking at. And again, if you click on the question mark, it'll tell you that it displays up to 10 distressed properties, including short sales from the MLS, REO, real estate owned, auction, and defaults from the CoreLogic tax database. So we'll always, tell you where the information is coming from. So you can see these individual properties here. And if you were to click on any one of these addresses, it would open up the display like you see on your screen now for that particular property. So if I clicked on the property on Ridge Avenue, it would refresh and put in the widget view, and the address would then be Ridge Avenue up here. There's also a distressed map. People like to see where things are in relationship to each other, and this map will pretty much do that for you. As you look at the map, you can see where the distressed properties are in relationship to the property that you are viewing on your screen at the moment. So again, nice to be able to kind of put things in perspective and see where everything is on a map view, just instead of looking at addresses. if you will. Coming down a little bit further, nearby schools. These are the schools that are within a proximity of this particular property. Once again, keep in mind that the school distances are just the actual distance from this house. It is not necessarily what school that home is zoned for. Again, always due diligence should say that you should be checking for the actual zoning instead of assuming that this is the school it's zoned for. There's got to be a line drawn somewhere, and this property may not be on the side of the line that that middle or elementary school is. So again, always check to make sure. And if you select the link for nearby schools, once again, you get that spatial view of where they are located in relationship to your subject property, which is noted by the little star in the top left-hand corner of your map. And then also a little bit more information down here, including the description, how far it is, and if for whatever reason you wanted to call that school, we provide the numbers for you. And that can be sent, and it can also be printed once again. So again, most of this information you see can be printed out or sent as needed. This particular property, Michelle from Berkshire Hathaway is the listing agent for the property. If you want to know some more information about Michelle and contact information, it's all here. And if you want to run by the office, it's also right there. So again, we've got some information about the listing agent. Comparables. A lot of you do comp searches in the matrix system looking for comparable properties. You're working with let's say a seller, you're attempting to acquire the listing, and you're going to go out and do a CMA to try to find a price point that is going to work. We do a kind of a comp search for you right out of the gate. You can see these individual properties here with their addresses and prices. If you select comparable sales across the top, this is more or less a one-click CMA. The subject property is noted by the star in the center. The individual comparable properties are designated by the numbers that are surrounding them. Here you have the kind of a table type view, if you will, when they were sold, what the price is. And then you see a standard side-by-side type of report. The subject property, in this case, the one on Black Bear Drive at 411, is going to be the first one, and then comp 1, 2, and 3 will be scattered along the side with different data points being compared against each other. And then as you continue on down the list, depending on the number of comps, that's what you're going to see. Now, there are times that when comps are pulled, there may be one that you want to remove from this list. Maybe you have an outlier, or maybe there's something you want to add in there. Again, across the top, you've got your print option, your send option, your help option, but then you have a little pencil that says edit comparables. If you select that, you of course have the ability to uncheck any one that you don't want to use. Or ones that you don't want, not only one, but you can check more than that if you want to. And you can also enter the listing number of a property that you want to add to this mix. So you can either add or you can remove. Just be sure you click refresh when you're done, so it actually makes that change right there. So more or less a one-click CMA, really no adjustments can be made or any modifications other than adding or removing one. Listing history appears in the widget there. That's pretty self-explanatory. A couple of other little charts I kind of like. This little days and price listed analysis. This is a nice little kind of a scatter chart, if you will. And it goes and it shows you kind of where the listing that you're looking at falls according to the other listings. And what I mean by that is if you look at this pop open and it starts to plot, you can see, how other properties have done, whether they fall above or below the price of this property and how long they were on the market based on the line going up and down and the line going across. And then you've got the data below for the active properties and the sold properties, and of course your subject property, which you see right here. Again, this can be emailed and it also can be printed. Couple of other options, trends, you can take a look at those if you want to, as you need to. And then there's a table of contents down here. In this table of contents, you can pick whatever you want to display with the widgets. I've got some that I have unchecked, and then there's others that I can put in there. So you can really add more widgets to this page if you want, or you can remove some of them if you feel it's a little top heavy from there. If you want to go back to the map, across the top of the page, you can click back to the map. You can also contact the listing agent here. And again, it'll put in your name. It'll go ahead and let you type a nice little email to the listing agent for this property that you see here. And you can also add that to your favorites. And it'll give you a little response that it was said added to your favorites. Or you can go right back to that listing, and we can go right back to our map, and we can see the different properties here that are out on the site. And as you click on these little markers, you see the data pop up for that property. And of course, if you were to click more, you would go back into that multi-gadgeted view again. Notice that when you're on the map, notice the system is very map centric. So as I zoom out, the number of properties that appear on the map is going to grow. Right now, there are 33 actives on the map. If I zoom out again one more time, now I'm up to 61. So as you continue to move out and move in, they do. You also have some map overlays here, very similar to what you see in Matrix 360 today, and also what you may have seen in Realist in the past, where you have your schools and your districts and your zip codes and so on and so forth. And then you also have some points of interest that you can put on here also. So a lot of similarities of some things you may already know, except it's just being done inside of the Data Co-op program. Now, once again, over on the right-hand side here, and I'm going to zoom back in just a little bit. And of course, you've got all your different zoom levels over there. You've got the tabs across the top. You've got the ability to search, but you've also got the ability to see these properties in a list type of a format. And you can see that my favorite property is the one that's hearted across the top. I can print these out. I can send these in an email. I can also do some sorting here if I want to sort by the type or the bedrooms or the bathrooms or the age or the price, if I will. And I can also compare these properties in a nice little side-by-side view right here, so I can take a look at each one of them and again do some comparisons if I want to. The favorites, I just put a favorite in there just a minute ago on Black Bear. Earlier today, I put one on Lakeview, and it's ironic they're $800 difference in price. That was not meant to be, but I recently viewed 35 properties, and all 35 properties are here. And then I also have my 4 right there. And I can go right back to my search. So again, when you're searching, you can use the quick search bar to type in an address, a place, or a listing number. And if I zoom out again, I can also do some basic searches here using this little box that you see over here. And you can roll that up like I'm doing here, and I can unroll it. Now keep in mind, everything, no matter where you are, is going to be the same. So, you know, you may see some property types that you don't have here. Again, it's standard RESO fields. You know, I'm going to use single family. Notice again, when I do that, I get an exclamation mark and it says your criteria changed. When I click there, it's going to update my results and only show me the updated results that I have right here. So at this point, I moved that down a little bit. I can do for sale or rent or sale only. My prices are ranged, my years, my square footages, my bedrooms. Just remember, this is pretty much all the search criteria that you would get, say, in a quick search, which, you know what, if you're looking for something, you can probably at least get a really good start doing that stuff, because traditionally there's really about 4 fields that people use when they search. They use by price, bedrooms, bathrooms, and sometimes square footage or a general area, and a lot of that is done with a map anyway. We also have an advanced search area. If you need to get into a little more detail, you can do that. Again, looking for distressed properties, waterfront properties, views, pools, age restrictions. Again, everybody has the same stuff. So even if you don't use some of these in your area, they may be used somewhere else. And, you know, we try not to make this a full listing service, because it's not. It is a kind of a little mini listing service, if you will, but it gets the job done. Even if you do see all these states and all these counties available, it doesn't make any difference. You're only going to see the states and counties that have shared with you. And you know, I might as well go there right now. I'm going to go to the Options tab across the top. Go to the Options tab, and I keep talking about this sharing option. These are the different listing services that have agreed to share with West Penn Multilist. In all fairness, there are a lot of listing services out there. The call to have people want to cooperate only went out last Wednesday. So really only, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 business days ago, there was an email put out to everybody who participates in Data Co-op from a CoreLogic standpoint, and there's an awful lot of them. And so far, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different listing services that have agreed to cooperate with you. Daytona Beach, Greater Baton Rouge, Greater Las Vegas, Northwest Arkansas, and Rocamp, which is the Detroit, Michigan area there. And you can see the number of active listings that each one of these listing services have in their inventory at this point in time. So by saying that, I could move my map over to the Detroit area and use a simple search and find active properties that are priced between, pick a number, $3 to $350,000 with 3 or more bedrooms and 3 or more bathrooms in the Detroit metro area, and be able to see that that widget view that I just showed you for that property on Black Bear, except you're looking at properties in this case, the Detroit area or Las Vegas or whatever. Now we expect this number to grow substantially. Again, it's only been 5 business days since the call was put out to see if, hey, you want to cooperate with the Data Co-op, and again, it will grow. So as you can see here, you've got about 15,000 active inventory, actives in inventory now. And with the other listing services out there, you now have access to 85,000. So 70,000 additional active listings were now made available to you from different listing services across the country. So going back to my search again, my advanced search, if you want to get into the weeds a little bit, you can search for remarks. Maybe you're looking for the remark where an agent put in there the ever popular word motivated. You know, a lot of times we see motivated seller in there, right? So now I'm down to 6 active properties, and if I select one of those properties from the map, remember it's very map centric. And when I go to my listing details, just to take a look at that property to see if there's actually the word motivated in there somewhere, as soon as it paints on your screen, you will see the word motivated in there somewhere. So it's starting to come up on your screen as we speak. And if I go down into the confidential remarks, at some point in time, you're going to see the word motivated, and they actually have it all capitalized right here for you to even see it even better. So you can search for remarks, which is, you know, kind of nice, right? Sometimes you find those little keywords in there. And you can also search for things like features, like let's say hardwood as an example. Now notice every time I do something, I get that exclamation mark and it says you must update your results. So now when I do hardwood, it's going to look and it's going to find a couple of properties on the map, and here's one right over here. And when I go to more on this one and pull up the listing details, and again it should be painting on your screen here in just a second, as I go over to the features, you are going to notice that top left it says the floors are made of hardwood, because that's what I was searching for. Now if I were to zoom out my map a little bit more, there's only 76 properties. As I come out a little bit more and expand my view, now there's 253 of them that have hardwood in the features. So again, you zoom out, you traditionally see more, you zoom in, you see less. So you can search for those things using that advanced search. A couple of other things here, you have listing statuses. Right now I'm showing the active properties. If I want to see the properties that are under contract, there's 65 of them, and you can see them in that kind of a purplish color on your screen. Once again, it's the same form and function. You simply click on an individual marker on the map. Right here, I'll click on it again, and that property is from West Penn Multilist, and that property is currently under contract. And if I want to even take it to a next level, I can go out and see all the properties that have sold, let's say in the past 6 months. And now you'll see some red markers on there, along with the blue actives, along with the purple under contracts. And you can also maybe see what's came off the market in the past 3 months or 6 months or whatever that's out there. So you get a nice holistic view of an area, what's currently active, what's under contract, what recent sales were out there, properties that came off the market, things like that. Personally, I like to leave these 3 off. I just like to keep active selected. Otherwise, the map takes a little longer to load right from the get-go. You do what you want, but just keeping the actives on there, it has a tendency to load just a little bit faster. CoreLogic also provides some foreclosure data, whether it's from the auction point of view or real estate owned. And you can see here there is a couple on the map. And if I zoom out a little bit more, you will see some of these little green markers start to populate once again. So again, just different layers of data that you can see on the map and take a look at it. Again, I like to just keep these off unless I need them. Estimated drive time, this one's kind of neat. If I have a property up here and I want to say I want to live within 10 minutes of that property, I want to see what homes are available within 10 minutes of, let's say, 213 Lakeview, which I could classify as my home, let's say. Notice I get this little net here, and it's telling me that there are a few properties that are within a 10-minute drive traditionally of 213 Lakeview, and now I can maybe do a little more of fine tuning with my search. Some people like to live within X number of minutes to commute to a business or a restaurant or a school or something like that, and this kind of drives that home. Today, what we're finding is that more and more people are not interested in how many miles it is to something. It's more how many minutes does it take to get something, and that's what we're finding these days. And this pretty much does a good job of doing that. So, in fact, if you ever look at all those signs over the interstate highways that says it's 12 minutes to the next interchange, they're not telling you it's 6 miles. They're telling you it's going to take you 12 minutes to get there. So again, that's pretty much what that does. So it's more about distance and time is the winner there. You can save searches. So if you've got a search set up, you can give it a name and you can get automatically notified of new matches if you would like to, never daily or weekly. And then finally at the bottom, again, just a little kind of an FAQ of information here. You can see the number of actives on the map. You can see more or less kind of where the list price falls. You can see, what's kind of the average year built for the homes here, and how many bedrooms do the properties within this particular map view have. And notice again, I do have my update results, and it'll tell me that in the map view that I'm looking at for these 392 properties, a majority of them have 5 bedrooms, next would be 4, and then 6, not a lot of 8-bedroom properties out there, or how many full baths and so on and so forth. So again, you get that 30,000 foot view of the area to help you make decisions on whether or not you might find some properties for a prospect. If they're looking for a 3-bedroom, 3 full bath home, this is probably a good area. If they're looking for something that's got 4 to 5 bedrooms, again, you're pretty much in the ballpark here in that respect. So again, those are the search options that you have over there. So it's really, again, fairly simple to use. You can do your searches. You've got your list views if you prefer to see it like that. You've got your standard mapping views, your favorites, and again, these are the listing services that have shared with you. Now, if I jump over and I click on Las Vegas, it's going to tell me for Las Vegas the number of actives they have, the number of solds, the number of pendings, and you can take a look at the Las Vegas area. It's also going to break it down by statuses here for you if you're interested in that type of information. But the other thing to be aware of is if I, for some reason, want to go out and search in Las Vegas or Detroit as an example, because they're one of the folks that you have access to, I can just kind of slide across the country here, pop over into the Las Vegas metro area, which, by the way, they're also a Matrix customer also. And you can see the little bubbles now in Las Vegas. So if I click here and jump in here, you can see as I start to zoom in here a little bit, I can see some additional properties, and I'm trying to find an area that's got some pretty nice little homes here in Vegas. If you've been out in that area, you might know some of this. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more until I can find one bubble, and one bubble should be coming up soon. If I hover over this bubble, there is a nice little home in Las Vegas there for $690,000. It's a 3-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,800 square foot home. And if you're curious, you can select more. And there again, you get that nice little widget view. Maybe you were doing some work for a prospect of yours, or somebody looking to buy a second home in Vegas. You can be the knowledge worker here and do a search for them, and then you can go and contact the listing agent inside of that particular listing and facilitate possibly referral would obviously be a good way to do that. You could send this to somebody if you wanted to. You could add it to your favorites, but notice everything here is the same. You've got your photos, your listing details, and your location across the top. You've got your distressed properties. You've got your schools. The listing agent is Elwin Mark in Las Vegas. So you have all of this information here. Now, one other way you can get this information out of Matrix and the data co-op is to use these property reports you see here. So if you look at these reports and you want to get, say, the valuation for this property, or the AVM, which if you're not aware of the acronym for that, AVM is Automated Valuation Model. And we provide the CoreLogic AVM for you here for this particular property. This automated valuation was done today, and you can see the estimated range there and the property and any homes similar to it. So we have access to the automated valuation for this particular property, which in this one happens to be in Vegas. It could as well be in the Pittsburgh area. Neighborhood demographics report. You can select the neighborhood demographic report, and that'll give you a very robust report of different information, housing data, growth data, things like that. In case you're interested in that particular area, you can see all that. Schools. Keep in mind, this is exactly the same that you would see for neighborhoods if I was still in Pittsburgh, but I decided to shoot across the country to Las Vegas. The listing and activity market report, we affectionately call that the Lamar report. Again, I know one person whose name is Lamar, surprisingly, and so I named this report for him. And this is a report that goes and gives you some information that you may want to use. Again, kind of a combination of listing and market activity all in one report. Notice you can print these and you can download these as needed. And then finally, the consolidated report, just like you have today in Matrix, where if you're in Matrix and you find a particular property and you check it and you go down to print, in Matrix 360, remember, you can print all of these different options, the listing, the tax, the photos, the history, all that information. In Data Co-op, you can print the photos, the location, the listing details, checking all the boxes here, who's it going to go to, and when you do print this out, it gives you a very long, probably 10-15 page report here, and it puts all of these different pieces in that report. Of course, you could check or uncheck anything that you do not want to print in the report, and you can email it or you can print it depending on what you want to do. If you preview it, you can obviously print it from there, and you can also fill in the email address and click send from there if you want to. So I'm going to pop back over to your world again. And the easy way to do that is I can just come in here and type in Pittsburgh, and it'll drive me right back to Pittsburgh again. So you can see now we're back in the Pittsburgh area once again. We're looking for single families for sale. We want everything with 6 or more bedrooms, and with just a click, we can get them popping up on the map here in just a moment. So the map has a little bit of latency. There we go, and we can see all the properties as they pop up. And again, click there, and there it is. So that's how easy Data Co-op is to use. It's just another tool in your toolbox. It's offered to you as part of the service now from West Penn Multilist. This is the CoreLogic Data Co-op. And again, in case you missed it, 2 ways to get into it. From the dashboard of Matrix, you can come to your external links, which I happen to have on the left-hand side of my screen. Yours could be somewhere else. At the bottom, there's a Data Co-op link that gets you into the front door where you can go and search for anything, anywhere that you have access to participate with, and that includes Las Vegas and the Michigan area. Or from a listing search, you can go ahead and pull up a listing and click on the Data Co-op link from there. So I'll walk through that once again. Here's the listing. Here's the Data Co-op link down at the bottom of the screen. One click, and it'll take you right into that particular property and display all the information there. So in today's world, you know, information is power. Matrix 360 gives you a lot of information to use. The Data Co-op gives you a lot of information you can use. At the end of the day, you want to be the smartest person in the room, and if you've got the tools to be able to do that, that helps you within your business and helps you service your clients and customers in a much better way. So you've got about 4 minutes of your day back here. I'm running just a little short, and I did the class this morning. Just a little bit of information for you. Number one, this is available to you now. So again, you can start using all the things that I've shown you now. The other thing to be aware of is that in about an hour from now, there's going to be an automated email that gets sent to you thanking you for participating today. And we do thank you for joining us today and taking 41 minutes out of your day. Also at that time, if you have any questions or comments, please reply back to that email. I will get those emails directly and I will respond back to you accordingly. I've got a whole bunch this morning already. Everybody has been responded to already. Just feel free to send it. I'll get back with you unless I'm sitting on an airplane. I'll be more than happy to answer you. So any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know. We'd like to know what you think of it. And again, be looking for additional listing services to come on board and wanting to share with you in the near future. I can pretty much guarantee that. But right now, this is what's out there now. Again, Daytona, Greater Baton Rouge, Greater Las Vegas, Northwest Arkansas, and RealComp, which is the Detroit metro area. Thanks for joining me today. Again, we are recording this webinar, so we will be posting this webinar in the very near future. So if you want to watch it at a later time at your convenience, please feel free to do that. Tell your friends, it'll be out there, but we did record this one, and this is the one we will be posting for you. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on another webinar soon.